And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes the week of Who Would Win. Comes to us from, I butchered writing the name of my planner, so I'm just going to read it from the book. Generic, I think I butchered it also here. Costio, 47 Gold. I probably butchered your name. I apologize. Who asked the question? Who will win in a fight? Slenderman, from obviously Creepypasta, versus the Trevor Henderson creation, Siren Head. I've had both these guys, particularly Slenderman, on the series multiple times before. I can definitely do Slenderman off the top of my head at this point, but Siren Head I had to do a little bit. I had to go back and research just a little bit. So let's do a Siren Head first, actually. A creation of Trevor Henderson, who has his own, basically his own mythos, his own version of Creepypasta, if you will. Siren Head is it's not really clear what Siren Head is. It is basically confirmed that Siren Head is not part of this reality. So he's most likely some sort of extra-dimensional creature of some kind, maybe an extension of a greater, larger creature. Either or, it exists in our world still. I believe it's called, I think it's, he came out with some new information that stated, it's a static form of an unfathomable supernatural entity. So basically, a perfect example is actually, to go with the magic lore, the Eldrazi in Magic the Gathering. Those are not, when you look at those creatures in the plane of existence they're on at that point, that is not actually them. That is an extension of their actual being. In theory, you can't, even if you were to destroy those bodies, they'd still exist. You'd have to figure out a way, as they did in the actual story, to pull the essence of the main body into those creatures and then kill them. This sounds like a similar concept. That even if you beat the Siren Head that is manifested, it's not actually dead. It could show up another time. But theoretically, if you're able to beat it there, we'll count that as a win. However, Siren Head is still depicted around 40 feet tall, very emaciated, lengthy, but still very powerful, capable of snapping large trees, capable of lifting grown people and just biting their heads off. It is a predator, very aggressive. At the same time, it's capable of mimicking any noise and basically fooling individuals into hearing what it wants to hear and messing with it. It apparently gets a lot of enjoyment out of doing that. That said, it doesn't seem to have many abilities beyond that. It is victims of Siren Head have been, where was it? Where did I read that line? Because I got the wiki for him up here right now. Oh, victims of Siren have apparently found with their eyes, eardrums, gums, sinus bursts, and bleeding. Basically, it's most likely using such high frequency sound or just such decibels of sound that's causing your eardrums, everything to burst. Because our bodies have limitations on the level of anything we can handle. That includes sound. Like there's a certain frequency where things break. And our bodies are no exception, which sounds like basically Siren Head can hit those frequencies and cause our bodies to burst. It's a very physically dangerous individual, and is a dangerous predator. It's also stated that not many weapons are capable of harming Siren Head. That said, weapons do not normally work on the entity, is what is said. But it almost never is spotted in populated areas. It prefers more scenic areas. This implies several things. One, this thing is not invincible. You could bring it, you'd need some heavy artillery to bring it down, or just something with a lot of power, or maybe something that's specifically weak against. Maybe it's weak to blades or whatever. Maybe it's high firepower, flamethrower, whatever. But that does say, because it's described as the weapons do not normally work, means there may be either a circumstance where the weapons can work. It could be like a mind over matter thing where you have to believe or whatever, or not be afraid, kind of a Pennywise scenario. Or you just need a powerful enough weapon to do it. Two, this thing avoids big populated areas because it is not infallible and because it could actually, if say like the National Guard came in and started firing tanks or bazookas, it would get effed up. So, and no doubt, I have a feeling if you dropped a legit bomb on this thing, it would be done. So Siren is still an immensely powerful individual and a dangerous predator. It's capable of transformation, stealth, it's faster than it looks, capable of multiple forms of disguise. Slenderman is obviously the famous creepypasta being of his slender nature. He takes the form of a very tall, thin humanoid being with no face, usually in a black suit and tie jacket, capable of sprouting multiple tentacles that can be used for grabbing, attack, that's all that bit. It's also, I believe it's also stated that he has some level of pyrokinesis abilities as well. Beyond that, Slenderman is known to be able to induce madness just by looking at someone. There are multiple stories where people have gone crazy because of Slenderman. It's kind of described almost like a disease that festers in you. Slenderman, despite his size, is deceptively strong, but is capable of being hurt. There is an instance, I believe, where someone pulled out a baseball bat on him and he screamed in anger. Now, this might be just because someone tried to attack him. And he just didn't like the fact that someone tried to pull a fast one and attack him. Or it could be the fact that, yeah, he can be hurt. There isn't much in the way of lore on him being hurt. He's also capable of possessing other individuals or using other individuals for his means. But he generally kind of avoids straight-on combat, mostly just because people that he goes after generally are frightened of him. Most people don't fight back most of the time, which you know what, I think leans credence to the idea that he is susceptible to actual harm, because most of the time people are scared shitless of him and they don't even try to fight back that much. But when someone pulled a bat on him, he got visibly angry. Now, granted, he beat the hell out of the guy who pulled the bat on him, but he didn't actually kill him. So there's that. But beyond that, there's always the question of what Slenderman actually is. And there's multiple theories. He's an extra-dimensional creature. He's an alien, a demon, a spirit. I've always loved the idea, I believe it's called an egregore, where he is a being that has been brought to life by the collective belief in him. Like, he never existed for the longest time until people started just enough people believed in him. And it willed him into existence. I've always loved the egregore theory. But that being said, it makes it difficult to really gauge what his weaknesses really are in terms of what he's capable of surviving. That said, though, hypothetically, if these guys were to fight, who would win? And the scenario is actually pretty easy to figure out. It'd probably have to take place in a wooded area, trees, whatnot, where he would, where Siren Head would be disguised. And Slenderman would most likely be chasing after people, scaring the hell out of them. They maybe run into Siren Head, maybe gets one of them, eats one of them. And he sees Slenderman, and the question immediately would be, could he discern that Slenderman is not human and not prey? Because apparently Siren Head does not go after other animals. It strictly goes after people. So it can definitely tell the difference between them, and it has a preference in food. But the thing is, Slenderman is humanoid enough that Slenderhead could, so many S's. Slenderman is humanoid enough that Siren Head could mistake him for a human if it's not able to differentiate the difference. At the minimum, it maybe goes in for investigation where he maybe picks up Slenderman, who doesn't like being picked up. And by all accounts, Siren Head has the physical advantage over Slenderhead. Siren Head has the physical advantage over Slenderman. So he's picking up, and Slenderman does not like this. And then tentacles spread out, and he starts to just kind of pull that hand apart. And Siren Head now is just realizing, okay, this is not human, this is not food. This thing's attacking me, though, so I'm going to yeet it and just tosses it. Now, Slenderman does also have the ability to apparently move through shadows, arguably some sort of level of teleportation. So maybe he just shows up again, and they're kind of squaring off with each other now. Siren Head just comes in, swipes at Slenderman. Slenderman blocks the attack with the tentacles, but is moving a bit. He does activate what level of pyrokinesis he has, starts setting some a Siren Head on fire. Siren Head starts screaming, basically cranks up the decibels to like however many he needs to go to. Slenderhead may Slenderhead. I keep doing it. Slenderman may go like, but because it's not a human. It probably isn't affected in the same way as humans are by these sorts of attacks. It doesn't have a human biology, so like decibels affecting its body wouldn't really work. At least in Sailor. It might still hurt it though, as Slenderman starts to grab on to Siren Head, start bringing it down with all the tentacles it has, setting it on fire. Siren Head just starts boom, 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 beating into Slenderman. Slenderman is just kind of crinkled on the ground. Slenderman gets back up because, again, there's no clear-cut weakness for Slenderman, but it's struggling to get back up because it got upset, again, with a baseball bat. Baseball bat probably wouldn't have hurt it that much, but the fact that something was coming to attack it pissed it off, I think. And it probably did show a little bit of a threatening disposition to Slenderman. This is a threat. This is beating on Slenderman hard. So Slenderman's now struggling to get up and whatever it has for bones are kind of like, and Siren then starts just doing everything it can as it's burning. It's able to kind of put the fire out, break the tentacles, and just kind of pummel Slenderman into the ground, who eventually has to just retreat into the dark. I will go with Siren Head in this. Now, the reason I go with Siren Head in this is right out the gate. It's far larger, but if this whole bar or video screen right here is the 40-foot mark, this is where Slenderman comes in at that mark. It's not even a quarter as tall as Siren Head. So it's already got a huge physical advantage, an extremely strong physical advantage and size advantage. Beyond that, though, it can attack with sound, which probably wouldn't hurt Slenderman, like I said, in the same vein as a normal human. But it would still probably mess with Slenderman pretty hard. Beyond that, though, Slenderman just doesn't have anything that really could put Siren Head down in the general sense. In theory, you could set it on fire. Its tentacles are probably very strong, but that's actually all from an offensive standpoint that Slenderman brings to the fight. And that's just not going to be enough. It can definitely have the stealth advantage. It can be sneaky. It can go into hiding shadows if it needs to. But ultimately, if we're being honest here, in a true fight, which is you need your physical ability to fight and all that stuff and do damage, Slenderman actually falls short in this fight, at least from the stuff we've seen. Its psychological warfare wouldn't work on this thing because this thing is not even close to human, and all of its psychosis kind of abilities predominantly lurks mostly on humans or sentient individuals in that sense who aren't from an extra dimension or an extra large supernatural entity, which this thing clearly is. So I would actually go Siren Head in this fight. I was going into the fight thinking it was going to be Slenderman, but the more I broke it down, the more I'm like, no, I think Siren Head would actually take this fight. Now that is not to say Siren Head would probably make it out unscathed. That he probably wouldn't, because Slenderman is capable of doing multiple types of, particularly attacking with fire. I don't believe that's a specific weakness. But fire is not a weapon per se. It's just a natural element. They say most weapons don't normally hurt it, but that doesn't mean anything for fire. Now, there's nothing I can find that says it's fireproof or fire resistant. But given its size, it would take a lot of fire to burn this thing down. But it would still be in pain, still be hurt. So it would not make it out of the fight unscathed. I would probably go with Siren Head, though. So that's just my opinion, though. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. It's the week of Who Would Win, so there's a Who Would Win every day. Thanks for watching. See you later.